folks, we are seeing the IRS assigning revenue officers. These are highly experienced IRS collection personnel, generally with many years of experience. Some of them have advanced degrees, like a JD or something like that. We're seeing the IRS assign revenue officers to non-filers. Those are folks who haven't filed one or more required years of tax returns. We're seeing the IRS assign revenue officers to these kinds of taxpayers at rates we haven't seen since before the pandemic. Right? Typically, the IRS, at least recently, has been treating non-filers in a more systematic, automated way. Okay, sending computer-generated notices to them. Hey, you haven't filed your return, and then maybe sending them to the automated substitute for return program, and not assigning such an experienced collection personnel like a revenue officer to the non-filer. Well, recently, I want to say, just in the latter half of this year, we are now seeing the IRS put revenue officers on these non-filers and kind of putting the fear of God, or at least the fear of Uncle Sam, in them. So if and I'm saying this not to scare anybody out there who's gotten behind on their tax returns, because they're definitely not doing this to everybody. Some people are still being treated in that automated fashion, but we're generally seeing the ROs assigned to folks who have who are not wage earners, right? Because W-2 folks, they often get taxes taken out of their paycheck. Right, so the IRS, there's not a lot more to collect from them necessarily, right, unless they're really under withholding. But we're generally seeing these ROs assigned to high-income taxpayers who either have, high 1099s, at least six figures or multiple six figures at 1099 income, just gross, right, because that's what the IRS sees as your gross. They don't know about all your business expenses. Or folks who are a partner or a shareholder in a flow-through entity, and they get a K-1 that's reported to the IRS showing a high amount of income, and they weren't making enough estimated tax payments over the course of these years to satisfy their tax liability. Those are the two groups that we're seeing a lot of RO activity, revenue officer activity right now from the IRS, and going after these folks to get them in compliance, to file their return so that the IRS can assess the tax. And, because that's the whole point, right? The IRS wants you to file your return so they can collect the tax. If not, right, if an RO is assigned and they're not able to get the taxpayer to file their returns, well, then each tax year is going to have an SFR prepared for it by the IRS. And an SFR, I've covered this in another lengthy video. An SFR is a substitute for a return. That's a return the IRS prepares for you, and is generally not very taxpayer friendly. Okay, so they're going to file the XFR, which is not going to give you any business deductions. It's not going to give you, any tax benefits for your dependents. If you're married, it's going to consider you married filing separately, which, depending on the income differential between, yourself and your spouse, could result in you paying, being assessed a lot more taxes than if you had filed your return and filed jointly. You're gonna get your return prepared by the IRS for you, okay, which is generally not something you want to have done. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because it seems that the IRS is really going after non-filers right now, okay? And before you get an RO assigned, you probably just want to get this taken care of, where you can just file the returns, right, whatever you owe, get into some resolution for it, whether it's an installment agreement, offer and compromise, PPIA, CNC status, whatever, before the IRS actually takes the step of assigning a revenue officer to you, okay? Because before you have a revenue officer assigned, there's no one person at the IRS who's out to get you, right? It's kind of just the IRS's machine that's out to get you, right? And this machine is addressing millions of taxpayers every single day, right? They're sending automated notices, right? Things like that. But once you get a revenue officer assigned, then there's one dedicated person at the IRS who's kind of out to get you, right? Or to get you to file your returns and get your money. So my advice would be, look, if you don't have an RO assigned yet for your unfiled returns, thank God, but please, you should look into getting those filed. I have a lot of content on this channel about what to do if you're not a filer. You may not want to file all of them, check out that video at the top of the screen. If you do have an RO assigned, you probably want to talk to a professional about this who can work with the RO on your case. In either case, you can book a free consultation with us. Link to our calendars in the description below. Anyway, folks, thanks so much for listening. This was kind of just an FYI, just kind of a warning out there for non-filers, because the IRS does seem to be putting their RO force on them in mass right now, at least at certain income levels. I have some other tax relief videos here specifically pertain to people who have gotten behind their tax returns. And like I said, you can always reach out to us at Choice Tax Relief, book a free consultation using the link in the description below, or just visit us at choicetaxrelief.com, fill out the form, we'll reach out to you. All right, thanks so much for watching, everybody. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.